All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It is episode 32 of the Let's Talk Ball pod. I'm your host, Tochi, aka Toch Talks Ball, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Spain. So today we want to talk about what's been happening. It is international break. It is Monday before the Premier League comes back. So we have, since we last spoke, we had the end of the transfer window. We had Gameweek 3 matches happen, a few international break matches, and we're getting ready to head back to the Prem this weekend. So what we wanted to talk about today is basically what's happened in the Premier League after Gameweek 3. Where does the table stand? Have we updated our expectations, our predictions for that? And then we also wanted to kind of round out talk on the transfer window, especially as it pertains to Arsenal and Manchester United. And then we will go into any sort of predictions that we have as far as where teams will end up in the table now that we know what the teams are going to look like. Rosters are finalized, and we've also gotten a few games of data to see how teams are performing. And then at the end of the episode, we will go into some Game Week 4 predictions as we like to do our little Pick'em series. But before we jump into any of that, Spain, how are you doing? How have you been?
Good, doing well. Had a fun weekend of no Premier League. Subsidized my time with other sports like the NFL being back, playing fantasy football for the NFL for the first time in a few years, so paying more attention to that this season. And then also was watching the U.S. Open a lot. So yeah, spent a good amount of my weekend watching sports still without the Premier League around. But yeah, doing well. How about you?
Nice. I am doing great as well. Pretty much did a lot of the same things you did. Usually I'm more tapped in on international breaks with the international games. I didn't watch too many of them. I did see a good bit of English versus Andorra, and then I did watch the Spain versus Turkey match as well. So that was fun. But outside of that, like you said, I'm really getting into football again. I'm trying to go hard at fantasy football this season. So I'm really tapped in with the NFL and excited to have that back. But in general, doing well. Had a fun weekend. It was my birthday on Thursday. So I spent the weekend celebrating a little bit. So I was not as tapped in with as much of the football as I would like to be, but had a good time celebrating with everyone. Also treated myself to a new mic. So watch out for that. Just spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get that set up for this, but couldn't quite figure it out. But there will be hopefully some improved audio coming your way in the next couple of episodes of the podcast and for the short form content. So stay tuned there. But yeah, back to the football.
How's your team looking for week 1 of fantasy football?
So I'm actually in 4 leagues.
Oh, wow.
And so between my 4 leagues, I think I'm probably sitting at about 2-2, I think.
Nice.
But I am confident about my players moving forward. I think some players that didn't show up this week, or I got a couple lineup calls wrong, where I was like, I could have started this guy, I could have started that guy, but I have more confidence going into the following weeks. And, as we get more data, I'll be able to kind of lock in those lineup calls. So I'm confident in my team so far.
Nice. I'm starting at 0-1. I liked my team that I drafted. I think I drafted really well, but team did not quite show up. And I do have George Kittle, so he might be out for who knows how long with a potential injury, hamstring injury.
Yeah.
So big bummer.
Yeah.
Especially coming out with 12 points after the first quarter. I was like, oh man, we're gonna be good, or he's gonna be cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, he's out.
Yep, that was me. I was flying high after the first 1 o'clock set of games, and then George Kittle starting off the 4 o'clock games really strongly for me. I've got him in 3 of my 4 leagues.
Wow.
So that was a brutal, a roller coaster, one might say.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking like I was going to win clean sweep all 4 of my leagues until the 4 o'clock games hit, and then I got absolutely crushed to end the day. But that is fantasy football for you. I forgot about the emotions that come with watching just about every single play. One thing I'm trying to get myself not to do this season is just box score watch the whole time and kind of ruin the games for me. But we'll see.
That's fair. And then last thing on the NFL, I don't know if you watched that Sunday night game last night, Bills, Ravens. Oh my God, that was insane. What a game to kick off. What a game to kick off the season for the first primetime game. That was nuts.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I wish I saw more of the game. So I forget I was editing videos, so not really paying that close attention to the game. And by the time I turned it on, it was basically beginning of the 4th quarter, and Ravens were up big. the Bills finally put together a drive, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, I think I had a player on that drive that got some points, and I was like, all right, that's good. Ravens are probably going to win this game. Let me go take a shower. I come out the shower and see the Bills scored and then had a chance to score the 2-point conversion to win it. Or not to win it.
To
I think
tie it.
To tie
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, holy shit. And then they didn't get the 2-point conversion. I turned the game off thinking the game was over at that point. And then I just happened to still have it pulled up on my computer. So I opened my computer and see the Bills driving in field goal range. And I was like, no way. What is going on? So I missed basically all the action. Just kept tuning back in to see like some of the most like climactic moments of the game.
Yeah, like I'm definitely not the biggest NFL fan, but like I said, I'm paying more attention. But oh my God, that game was awesome last night.
Yeah, really was.
All right, but enough NFL. Transitioning back to European football, the real football. You say you didn't watch much international break soccer, but I did. And one of the things that actually I didn't really watch much, but I was tapped in a little bit. One of the things I thought was cool was Arsenal's players' performances. Like that's what I kept up with. Really, was checking on that. But we had a lot of kind of activity or two cool things. In the England game, Arsenal had 4 starters in the squad against Andorra. That was Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back, Declan Rice, Eze, and Madueke. Just thought that was cool to see so much Arsenal representation in that team. Madueke probably wouldn't start there, but we'd have Saka starting otherwise, most likely. But great to see that. And then Marino scored a hat-trick for Spain against Turkey. So we just need to get him up top and start scoring some more goals for Arsenal. But he had a hat-trick, which was sweet, and then his last goal was an awesome curler from like way far out. So exciting stuff for the Arsenal players out on international break.
Yeah, I was tapped in and watched. Those happened to be the only 2 games that I did watch. So nice. Yeah, congrats to you guys for having so many people in that lineup. I think for me, stuff from the England game that I wanted to shout out was lovely seeing Marcus Rashford back in the international team. I think it just looked right, and he should lock down that left wing position, I would think, just based on who England has available. I think his competition there is probably Anthony Gordon. And then maybe if Jude comes back, maybe he knocks Eze out of that central position and into the left wing position. But we'll see. I think it depends what style winger Thomas Tuchel's looking for come World Cup time. But I think Marcus Rashford looked really sharp. He looked really confident. So I'm hoping that his loan spell at Barcelona continues to go as well, and we see Marcus Rashford in the World Cup come next summer. And then I also want to give another shout out from that match to Elliot Anderson. He's my favorite midfielder right now. He made his England debut and he absolutely crushed it. He was all over the field. He was kind of playing that deep lying center midfield role that was letting Declan Rice get more up the field and play as more of like an 8, and you're in and around the box while Elliot Anderson was sweeping up. And he just was so energetic. He's quality on the ball. He makes good decisions. He even was at one point made a pressing action where he started at midfield and looked like he shouldn't get anywhere close to the ball and pressed a guy at the top of the box, caused a turnover, and I don't know how he missed his shot. Honestly, Declan Rice put it back on a platter for him at the top of the 6, and somehow the keeper made an insane save. But Elliot Anderson probably should have done better as well. But what a way to cap off a really strong England performance it would have been if he had gotten that goal.
Yeah, talk about some horsepower for England in midfield with him and Declan Rice. Like they just 2 big center mids that can cover ground and they're physical. That's just really a lot of mobility and ball recovery skills for England in that midfield. Should really be able to free up the attackers and let some of the wingbacks get up into advanced positions.
Exactly. I love his emergence, and I think I was texting you about this, or we were messaging on Instagram, and I was thinking the competition for those England midfield spots come World Cup time is going to be pretty insane because you've got obviously Jude, and I don't know if you want to count Cole Palmer and some of these guys that can kind of play the 10, but then you also have Declan Rice, who I feel is going to be nailed on as one of the options. But then for one of the extra roles, you've got Elliot Anderson making a name for himself, and it doesn't look like he's going to slow down anytime soon. Adam Wharton is a really good player, and I think he brings a skill set that England doesn't have as far as having a deep playmaker a deep lying midfield playmaker that can actually like spray the ball well with his passing. Obviously, Elliot Anderson can do that, but Adam Wharton's passing is just on another level compared to all the other midfielders that England has, I feel like. And then Kobbie Mainoo's sitting here trying to fight for his position and try and make his way back into the team. I feel like I'm definitely leaving important players out. Like I'm sure there's going to be veterans like Jordan Henderson that are going to want to be in and around the team. So I think there's a lot of names that are going to be in the hat, and it's a good problem for them to have. But I'm interested to see what combinations that they end up going with in the long run.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and then even like at their their outside back position should be interesting too. Trent not making the squad. I kind of felt bad that for Chelsea that Tuchel started Reece James just because he lasts so little once he gets like too many minutes under him. Like he wasn't even started for Chelsea, and then England started, and I'm just kind of sucks for Chelsea because he could get injured at any moment. And then Miles Lewis-Skelly starting at left back. I'm sure he's got some other competition. Like I don't know if Luke Shaw is really in competition for that, but like Livramento. But yeah, the outside back position should be another interesting one for England.
Yeah,
I'm hoping Lewis-Skelly nails in that left back spot.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about the outside backs, but that is always an interesting one for England. Luke Shaw is playing like left center back for us right now, so I'm not sure how that's going to go.
I don't really see him playing like a true left back for England, but
but you know, Luke Shaw, he loves to be in and around that England team. No matter if he's not even playing for United, he somehow ends up in that squad
for sure.
But yeah, Livermento's a great shout. Jed Spence is making a huge name for himself right now. He's going to be fighting for right or left back side. Like he could do both. So we'll see. Lewis Hall is probably a decent shout. We'll see. And then Spain game, I did watch that as well. That was absolute just domination by Spain.
Looks like it.
Not really much to say there other than the one thing I want to call out from the game was Marino's hat trick. And you already mentioned that, so don't need to go over that too much more. But if you haven't seen the hat trick, look at it. Spain scored some really, really entertaining goals in that game. And Marino, just what a way to cap off the hat trick with his last goal. But that's it for international break stuff. Let's go back to the Prem, go back to the bread and butter here. I want to talk about where the table is at right now. Just do a quick check-in with how it ended after the last matches. But actually, before we do that, Spain, did you want to talk about any thoughts that you had from game week 3? I know that was a huge game for you guys, Arsenal versus Liverpool. I know it was a while ago now, so people have probably seen it, but I'd still love to hear your thoughts on how it went and what you thought about the game.
Yeah, I won't spend too much time on it just because, like you said, everyone's probably seen it, already heard a lot about it. But yeah, we lost 1-0 to Liverpool off of a great Szoboszlai late free kick goal. Once I saw him standing on the ball, I was like, oh man, this is a really good location for him. He's going to score it. I just know it with how things have been going for Liverpool this season. And of course, he banged it in. Super nice free kick. Hats off to him. Not the most exciting game. There were 0 big chances for either team. A combined XG of 1.01, according to FotMob. As like many people have said, not the most exciting game. I think Arsenal's got a lot of stick for being too conservative in the game, and a lot of people blaming Arteta. I think the criticism is overblown, but I mean, that's kind of expected because it's kind of the same thing you're hearing over and over again from people. But I mean, we're going into Anfield, game week 3 of the season, with Saka out, Odegaard out, or not, at least not able to start, and a draw would be great for us for the season. So I'm not really upset with how we played, with how we started the game and our game plan per se, because I thought we controlled the game pretty well for the majority of the beginning, for the first 60, 70 minutes. I would have liked to create more chances, obviously, but that's kind of is what it is. And so that's just kind of like the part about Arteta getting so much stick. I mean, even after the game, Slot said, yeah, in any other game, Arsenal could have won that. We could have drawn, and then we could have won that if it was played 3 times. So, I mean, I think it was an even game overall.
Yeah.
But just more to the game, Martinelli started at left wing, and he was pretty bad going forward. So I really would like to see Eze come on at halftime. I think that's like the biggest thing I would like to see is just us kind of go for, or take out Martinelli, because he was just doing the same stuff over and over again. I'm sure you saw that one time he picked up the ball, from our own 18, dribbled the entire field, and ended up taking it out for a goal kick.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one. I think I actually texted the group message. I was like, damn, they might need to get Martinelli off the field after that one.
I was watching my friends Alex and Coach. We just all looked at each other and started shaking our heads because we knew exactly what was going to happen. Because that's all he does.
Hmm.
I think he had the opportunity even playing Gyökeres. Like Gyökeres was pulled out and started making a really nice run if Martinelli just slipped him in, but he just is very one-dimensional. Martinelli is. So I'd like to see Eze come on at halftime for him. Saliba went off injured early, but he apparently rolled his ankle in the pregame. So Mosquera came on like 5 minutes in and looked really solid. So that's promising. Really like that signing. And then Dalman came on late, but wasn't able to really do much. Eze had one good chance, but just wasn't quite able to get his shot off. I really would have loved to see him take that. I think he could have scored the position he was. He just kind of fell over. Not really sure what
Yeah.
happened. But that's really about it from the Arsenal perspective. Like I said, not too much to talk about because the game wasn't very exciting. Any
Yeah.
thoughts you had on the game?
Yeah, I think he said a lot of really good stuff. And I think one thing that stuck out with me and something I've been thinking about a lot was talking about the approach to the game and just kind of like people's reactions to the game in general. I thought it was very interesting how coming into the match, you guys had no Saka. Odegaard didn't start. Saliba got hurt early. You were at Anfield. Liverpool are the defending champions, but then Arsenal were the ones that were getting criticized for not really taking the game to Liverpool
Yeah.
when Liverpool basically did nothing. Like I think it just shows how outcome and result dependent a lot of like the majority of football fans are. I thought that was super interesting because I thought Arsenal. I understand they need to be able to create more, but I thought they like defended better and just were generally like if even if ever so slightly were generally the better team through a majority of the match till probably like the last like 20 30 minutes maybe. And it just like if Sabazlai doesn't score that banger of a free kick, like the absolute worldie of a free kick, I think everyone's walking away saying that's a good 1 point at Anfield versus he hits that banger and all of a sudden it's, oh, this was such a poor performance from Arsenal. They weren't able to create anything. Oh, Arteta's too conservative. He's this, and that. But I just feel like, I don't know. The margins are so fine between what looks like a tactical masterclass and absolute failure from a manager, according to what people say on social media, at least, which I thought was super interesting.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It really is so outcome driven, everyone's takes. And yeah, like no one's talking about like Liverpool not creating hardly anything. No one's talking about Salah being completely anonymous for 3 games in a row and having no output this game for the first time. Yeah, it is what it is. Kind of used to
Yeah.
hearing it as an Arsenal fan, the stick Arteta gets, but it's whatever.
Yeah. But overall, like I understand why people were a little bit bored with the game. I thought it was still an entertaining game. Just as far as like some of the little subplots within the game. There was a little bit of drama. We saw a great goal from Szoboszlai, and he's also doing well at that right back position. We saw the Eze debut. I agree. I wish he would have come on earlier. Martinelli just seems a little bit uninspiring, but I assume it was like maybe just something about maybe he felt like Martinelli knows how to do the defensive side and the expectations maybe a little bit more than Eze does with him having just joined the team and whatnot. And maybe he showed a Liverpool maybe a little bit too much respect there in that regard. And then I thought it was great how Mosquera came on, and it looked like it wasn't noticeable that he was brand new to the team. I thought that was a really good performance from him. And then yeah, I think that's really it. It would have been cool to see Max Dowman kind of make a statement as a young player after Rio had just done that the week before playing for Liverpool.
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, Salah is anonymous. I'm kind of worried about that because I've got him in my FPL team and he's, paid off for me for so long. But I'm like, now I'm looking at maybe potential wild card or something crazy like that. I'm like, do I want Salah on my team? Do I not? I don't know, but we'll see.
I'm potentially thinking wild card too because I just don't like my team too much at the moment. Some pretty uninspiring players in my team. Yeah. But we'll talk about that later.
Agreed. Yeah. Let's see. Before we go into the table, once again, I want to kind of talk about, do you have any winners or losers from game week 3 in general, outside of the Arsenal-Liverpool match?
Yeah, my winners are Everton and Jack Grealish. Everton having a good start to the season, especially after week one where they looked pretty poor. But Jack Grealish had back-to-back games with 2 assists, so very impressive. Love seeing him with a smile on his face. There was a clip with the fans after the game, like hugging him and damn near strangling him, which I thought was really
Mm-hmm.
funny. But I just love seeing him playing well and happy, and the Everton team is quite likable at the moment. So they were my winners for the week. And then Aston Villa are my losers, having scored 0 goals so far this season, which really
Yeah.
sucks because I started with Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers in my fantasy team to start the season, and I've helped them so far. So they're definitely my losers.
Nice. Yeah, I can get behind that. I've got Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins in my team as well, and it's eye test said they were bad, but I said, maybe they're not that bad. But after some of the recent performances, I'm not sold on them. Granted, they did end the transfer window well, I think, by bringing in they got Harvey Elliott in. Sorry, not Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott. And then they did sign Jadon Sancho. I'll take it just because they took him off of our hands. It's just a loan, but still having his wages off the books for us, or at least partially off the books, is huge from a United perspective. But
Yep.
man, they look uninspiring, and they definitely need the help.
Yeah, they just look so bad. Have they said how much of the wages Villa are covering?
I think it's similar to Marcus Rashford last season, which was about like a 70% split. Like I think they covered 70%, and we cover the last 30%.
Gotcha.
And it might raise incentive wise, like if they do really well with him, maybe more is owed or something like that. But I need to look into the details there. I was just happy to see him gone from a United perspective. And honestly, I don't know how he keeps getting these moves. Like he somehow finds a way to play Champions League football every season. And like he was saying no to all these moves, all these approaches from Italy, from Turkey, and even Chelsea, and somehow ended up at a Premier League club that's got a chance or that is playing Champions League football. So I mean, good for him. Or is it
Uh,
Europa, sorry.
Yeah, they just
Sorry.
they just missed out last year.
Yeah, but still. And then moving over to my winner and loser of the week. So my winner of the week is Sunderland. They have now won 2 of their first 3 matches. They sit in 6th place in the table, and I think that's huge as far as a relegation team can go. Because I forget what number they say is like a very good amount to be at, but they are well on their way to being at a number to where they could be safe. I think they've done really, really good business this summer, like some of the best business of any Premier League team. And so I'm really rooting for one of the promoted teams to stay up, and looks like they might just make my dream stage or come true. So I'm really excited to see more Sunderland. I think it's really good on them to come out of that with a win. And it was a late win against Brentford as well. I think they were down 1-0 as of like maybe like the 80th minute or something like that, and managed to score 2 goals late in order to make it 2-1.
Yeah, and I believe Granit Xhaka put in the cross for the winner. Which, speaking of like good signings, he's been massive for them. Absolutely love the signing. Love that he was taking on the challenge, going back to being and them making him their captain. I think great business from Sunderland, and love Granit Xhaka. So love seeing him doing big things with them.
Yeah, I feel like he really fits the just the vibes and the aura there as well.
Yeah, looks like he's thriving, and everyone's loving him.
Yeah. And then my losers of game week 3 are Manchester City. They have started the season off with 2 losses, only 1 win, 3 points on the board. They sit in 13th place, 4 places below Manchester United, who are in crisis mode, according to the media. But I just had to get that one out there. I'm sure Pep Guardiola will figure it out. They're still a new team. I will be serious and cut them some slack. Granted, they didn't have a full preseason like everyone else, so I'm sure they're still trying to get everyone up to speed. They've got a lot of new players, a lot of new personalities in the team, so trying to figure out the correct balance there. But I would love to see this continue and see Man City continue to struggle, and I'm hoping Pep doesn't figure it out. So those are my losers.
Yeah, with the Manchester Derby this weekend, we'll see whether like they're frauds or whether they're gonna turn around and beat you guys. It'll be really interesting because I think both clubs are at an interesting moment, with City being in 13th place, kind of getting up to speed, and United figuring stuff out and having a rough couple weeks, despite getting the
Yeah,
win against Burnley, barely.
yeah, barely. We'll see. I'm excited for the derby. I really am. I don't know exactly what to expect, and I think before I'm really ready to throw out strong predictions, I would love to see what our injuries are looking like because against Burnley last week, we won 3-2 late, obviously, but in that match, we lost Mateus Cunha to injury. He went down after starting the game really, really well. Went down with what looked like some type of groin or hamstring injury, but he's posted on social media recently basically being like, injury's not that bad. I'll be back soon. I don't know what soon means. We don't have a definite timeline, and we won't find out till we get a press conference from Amarim. But hopefully he's available for the derby because I think he'd be huge. And then Mason Mount also had a minor injury where he was taken off with precaution at halftime. And that one is also said to be minor. I think they were playing it really safe with him, just given his injury record. So I'm hoping they're both available to go against City, if not starting, at least in some type of off substitution or off the bench capacity. But I think, I don't know, just knowing the way we play, it's the big teams that we don't really struggle against. It's the smaller teams when the onus is on us to attack and to create, I think is when we struggle the most. I think we show up pretty well in these Big Six matchups. So I'm actually feeling relatively optimistic for the City match.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be interested to see. I won't give away my winner or my prediction now, but I will be tuned in for that game for sure on Sunday.
Nice. So let's circle back to the table in general. So looking at it right now as it stands, the top four looks like Liverpool in first. They've won all three of their opening three matches, the only team in the league to have done that. And then we've got Chelsea sitting in second, Arsenal in third, and they are tied with a lot of teams, but Arsenal sitting third, fourth is Tottenham Hotspur, fifth, Everton, and then lots of teams in the mid-table. But I also want to point out that which you pointed out earlier, the bottom three is none of the promoted teams. Aston Villa, with 0 goals this season, somehow is not in last place. They are above Wolves, who have lost all three of their opening matches. And right above Aston Villa in 18th is Fulham in the relegation spots. So I didn't run through the whole table from 1 to 20, but if you're looking at it, is there anything that you see that surprises you? Any major talking points you want to bring up there?
I mean, Sunderland being in sixth is obviously huge for them to start out hot like that. Already having 6 points in the bag, like you said, is massive. Would not have expected them to be in sixth at all. I predicted them to finish last in the league, so that's really surprising. Tottenham have had a good start. I was happy to see them be humbled a little bit and lose over the weekend, but they've had a good start with 2 wins. Probably a little better than I expected them to start, a bit just based off of kind of where I picked them to finish in my end of the season table. And then at the bottom, Villa, as mentioned, Newcastle in 17th. Granted, they've had a lot of turmoil, and the Isak situation has not helped them at all. So can't really put too much blame there. I'm sure they're going to turn it around and finish in the top eight comfortably, I would say. We're pretty confident saying that. But those are my surprises.
Yeah. I think a lot of those align with what I have. I think based on how I've seen Liverpool play, I'm surprised, but not surprised at all that they managed to win their first 3 matches. Yeah. I don't know how they keep getting away with it, and I kind of hate it because I feel like they can come back after this international break with Isak and a couple other. I guess I'm really glad they didn't end up getting Mark Gahey, actually. Yeah. I think that was huge because I think they could still struggle defensively. Like, they're one Van Dijk injury away from being pretty unstable in the back. But yeah, the way they've been playing, they've been getting away with it, but they still sit first, so I'll give that to them. Everton, I was worried about them after that first match versus Leeds. I don't know how they opened up the season so terribly, but then now they look like they're actually going to be rolling a little bit. Jack Grealish, I love to see what he's doing over there. Like you said, you mentioned them as your winner of the week. And then Sunderland, like you said, I couldn't imagine, but I'm very curious when the last time a promoted team won 2 of their first 3 games. Because I'm sure if it's been done like a single digit amount of times in the history. And then other teams, I'm not really surprised by Crystal Palace's position in the table, but I think they look like a very, very good team. And I think they're going to be one to watch. Even without Eze, I think Oliver Glasner's got a really good thing going on over there. We'll see how they cope with European competition and having so many games, but that's one thing that I thought was interesting.
And short term, Sarr looks like he's out for 3 to 4 weeks, and as well as Adam Wharton. So two of their better starters are out for 3 to 4 weeks, which really sucks for them. Yeah.
I didn't see the Adam Wharton when I saw Sarr go down, which hurt me so badly because I think you alluded this in the notes, but I just brought him in FPL last week, unfortunately.
Yeah, but Wharton is also injured with, I think, an abdominal injury, I read.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right. And then, last surprise would just be what the bottom 3 to 4 teams looks like. Newcastle desperately need to figure out their attacking situation, which I think they will with their new signings coming in. I think they're going to put the pieces together, like you said, and turn the season around a bit. But they've looked pretty poor. I would say, I know they looked good against Liverpool in that game and did really well to fight, but in the other games that I've seen them play in, I don't think that they've really shown themselves to look great. I think people forget, although they came back against Liverpool with 10 men, they played a 10-man Aston Villa team for a majority of that game and couldn't score a goal. So that's something to watch out for there. And then I think Wolves might be cooked this season. I could see them going down. West Ham, I don't know what to think about them. That was actually a shock of the week for me. They looked so bad, and then out of nowhere, put a beat down on Nottingham Forest. Ended up beating them 3-0, which was crazy to see.
Yeah, that was shocking. Shout out to Graham Potter though for changing up the system and going back to back 4. And then I guess Forest didn't know what to do. Then they just got hit on the counter really quickly at the end and got lost 3-0, which really sucks for me bringing in Chris Wood and captaining him, and then having Juve, the left back for West Ham, second on my bench with 10 points, getting a clean sheet and an assist. Was not expecting that at all from West Ham.
Yeah, that's brutal. That is brutal. Hopefully, I want to see Graham Potter do well, but if he gets sacked, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it'll be Mourinho time or something.
I thought Somerville looked really good when he came out for West Ham. He was very quick, very direct on the ball. I liked him.
Yeah, he was a super good player for Leeds a couple seasons ago, and I think everyone was hyped about him when he got signed last season, but it looks like he didn't quite find his feet, so hopefully he does this season. Yeah,
one of the few young signings West Ham has made recently in the past couple of years.
The Paqueta celebration from that match was awesome, too.
Yeah, he threw the phone. Kissed the badge 4 times.
All right, let's talk about our final thoughts on the transfer window. We could talk about any transfers, but I do want to specifically talk Arsenal and United here since those are our clubs, and I can let you go first. How are you feeling about Arsenal's transfer window, how everything shook out, and how you feel like it's going to affect how you guys do for the rest of the season?
I thought we had a great transfer window. I'll give it an A. I think we addressed all our issues, primarily with strikers, signing Victor Gyökeres, one of the hottest strikers on the market and one of the best we could have gotten. I think other than Isak, he's the best striker anyone could have signed this summer. Ekitike could be argued that, but just based off of how he's looked so far. But I think Gyökeres was number 2 behind Isak in desired strikers, so he went out and got the much-needed number 9. We needed a new number 6. We got Zubimendi, who's also one of the best number 6s out there. We picked up Eze, who is a phenomenal player at his prime, who can play left wing, which addresses a need, and can play anywhere in attack and across the attacking midfield area. So that was a great get for us. Madueke has looked good so far. He'll be a great backup right winger to Saka, potentially starting left winger as well. And then also Mascara was a great signing for us. He looks super solid. I think we got him at a great price. Just a really, really good center back. And then the new guy we got, Hincapié, I think is how you
Yeah.
pronounce it. Don't really know much about him, but he looks like another really solid defender. Versatile left back, left center back type of player who covers ground and tackles hard and got some size to him, looks like. But yeah, overall, quite happy with very happy with our transfer window. I think it's the best we've had in a long time. Yeah, not really much else to say. It was a great window for Arsenal.
Yeah. So, moment of truth, do you think it's enough to get you guys the title this season?
I think we did everything we basically could to get the players to win the title. I think the only other thing we could have done is get Isak, which was not reasonable, and go for like a Rodrigo, which seems like that was not reasonable because he didn't go anywhere, even though he was linked with a bunch of teams. So I'm gonna have to say yes. I mean, we'll only know at the end of the season, but I picked us to win the league on the pod in the past episodes. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes, it was, because I think we filled all our gaps, all our needs, and added depth at key positions.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I like the transfer window from Arsenal. I think all things considered, you guys did a good job, like you said, kind of addressing all the needs. You got the midfielder in to replace, Partey and some of just basically shore up that position. And then I think Eze was a huge signing for you guys. I think before that, the window was looking a little iffy, but adding Eze to that team is huge for you guys. I think the jury's still out on Gyökeres for me. I think he will adapt and will continue to score goals. But I'm interested to see how he performs in games where there's maybe a little bit less space and where you guys are spending more time camped out around people's boxes, and how he does in that type of environment. But I think you guys did some great job to get some depth in. I think Mosquera is one of the signings I think could be a signing of the season, not in the sense that he will give you guys a huge impact, but I think the fact that you could lose Saliba and not really notice a difference in the team is really huge. I think you guys have a level of depth to where you can be protected against injuries, whereas I don't know if it was 2 seasons ago, whenever you were first challenging City, I think Saliba's injury really derailed kind of that title charge. And then last season, you had spent a lot of your season without Saka and Havertz, but it looks like you got quality depth there. Like Madueke is one that I want to talk about. Against Liverpool, I thought he was threatening, even though he didn't quite create that much. I thought he still did a pretty good job. And then in the England game against Andorra, granted it's just Andorra, but I thought he looked really good. I thought he was one of the better England attackers and was creating a lot. And he looks like he's forming himself into be almost like a little baby Saka in the way that he just had that right flank held down there and was able to kind of create and attack a low block there. So yeah, I think I'm impressed overall with Arsenal's transfer window, and I am excited to see how you guys do. I think Arsenal, granted, I may have said this the last couple of times, but I think Arsenal are probably the best team just as far as depth and quality throughout the squad. I know Liverpool is really good, and they have probably a better starting 11 maybe than Arsenal. Maybe I don't know if I could say that fully with confidence, but I think Liverpool might be the more exciting team, but I think Arsenal is probably the more solid and more robust team.
Mm-hmm. Speaking to Gyökeres, you said jury's still out, which I think is fair because he's looked okay to start the season so far. Was there any strikers out there that you think Arsenal should have prioritized or gone after over Gyökeres?
I think it depends what your goals were. I think Gyökeres is a short-term, better win now within the next year or two signing. I think, granted, it sounds like they were asking for money that you shouldn't have paid for Sesko. I think Sesko might have been a better signing as far as I think his ceiling is still there as far as being I think he's got a higher ceiling as a player than Gyökeres. I just don't think he would have come in and had the same impact right now. But that's with me being someone who rates Kai Havertz pretty highly as far as goal scoring. I think Havertz had the ability to put up a 20 goal in the league season. Obviously, I don't know what his injury record is per se. I guess it's not the best, so maybe you guys wanted an insurance policy against that. I just think maybe bring in Sesko and then use that Gyökeres money to bring in a bigger attacker, or a bigger name maybe on that left wing, Like, I don't know what the perfect strategy would have been because I haven't really thought it through, but maybe maybe being able to splash a little bit more cash at a Rodrigo or a Rafael Leao, or like, I don't know, just maybe another superstar attacker. Like, I think Gyökeres is a good or great attacker. I don't think he was an elite attacker, and I think you could have spent that money to get somewhat of like an elite or superstar attacker.
Gotcha. So yeah, they prioritized the left wing, and then gone for a different striker.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think just for the striker, just on like striker, I think he was the right person for like a win now strategy versus like Sesko, which was the other person we were looking at. So I'm happy we went with him over Sesko. But that was an interesting point you made to maybe prioritize more money at left wing for Rodrigo or Leao if they were available. But who really knows with that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it is what it is. You got to make some decisions and move on. And also, like, you also have to, like, you could have tried to hold out and wait for something else. But, if that was a good opportunity and everyone's comfortable with it, then I don't mind that. Yeah. But any more thoughts on Arsenal's window?
Nope, that's all.
All right. So let's talk about Manchester United's transfer window and my final thoughts there. For me, I think, just to review it from the top, we brought in 3 new attackers in Matheus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo from Brentford, and then we ended up getting Benjamin Sesko, who we were just talking about. And then on deadline day, I believe it was, we brought in Sane Lamens, who is a goalkeeper from the Belgian league. He played for Royal Antwerp. And then as far as outgoings, we got most of our quote-unquote bomb squad away. Garnacho went to Chelsea for 40 million, and then we have, I think it's like a 10% sell-on clause as part of that deal. So I'm sure whenever Chelsea sell him, we'll probably get that number closer to like the 45, 50 million range, which I'm happy about. Anthony got his move to Real Betis, which I was really happy to see. There was a little bit of drama there, and it looked like the move might not go through, but they figured out the numbers, and we just shucked him off. But it's crazy that a few summers ago we paid like 90 million euros for him or something crazy like that. And then who else? Rashford's gone to Barcelona. Højlund is off to Napoli on a loan deal that if they qualify for Champions League, I think the buy clause automatically gets triggered. And so we'll sell him for about 40 mil, which is actually decent return on Højlund considering the season that he had last season. Trying to think. And then Jadon Sancho was the other player that got sent off to Aston Villa on loan. Tyrone Malacia is the long-forgotten player in our bomb squad that doesn't really get mentioned. He used to play left back for us. I don't actually know what ended up with him. I completely forgot about it until I started just talking about it right now, to be honest, which I feel bad because I think that's just kind of been how he is for the last, 2 seasons. But yeah, after hearing all those moves, the money that we generated from the sales, and then the money that we spent on the players, I would say that I feel like Manchester United's window was good, but not great. I think I've been on it all summer. I think we should have brought in a midfielder at the very least on loan. It sounds like we tried to go get Conor Gallagher on loan on deadline day, but Atletico Madrid basically said no way, which I completely understand. I feel like he's an important player for them. Like, why would they part ways with him with no way to replace him? My sentiment, I just released a short form video on this, so it's on TikTok and Instagram right now. My sentiment on this was, if I were in charge of Manchester United, I probably would have bought Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, even though I don't love the way that it has now pushed Bruno into this midfield role, and it's made it an awkward fit for Kobbie Mainoo and some of our other midfielders. But I would have bought Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, and then instead of investing all that money into Sesko, I probably would have tried to use that to put in a larger bid for a player like Baleba or another top level midfielder. But it sounds like Vivell, who's he's basically our head of recruitment, had a really good relationship with Sesko and really, really believes in him and thinks he can be one of, if not the best striker in the world. And so, those decisions are above my pay grade, and I'm going to trust them here, even though Ineos and Manchester United haven't really given me a reason to trust their decision-making over the last few years. Then it sounds like we're still all in on Baleba, according to Fabrizio Romano. He keeps bringing that deal up. He says 2026, he's still one to watch, whether it be in January, if maybe Brighton aren't on track there, or if not January, then the summer. So I can understand if we know that we're going to get Baleba, which I really hope we do. If we know we're going to get him, I can understand leaving the summer without a midfielder, even though I think it's going to affect our performance this season. I can deal with it because it means that hopefully Kabi Mainu gets more minutes. I was really scared about that towards the end of the window because he basically had told the team, I want to go out on loan because I want to get more guaranteed minutes because Amram didn't play him in the first 2 minutes of the first 2 games of the season. But I don't know, said a lot there. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it probably like a B minus range. Just because, like I said, I think we missed out on the biggest priority of the summer, which would have been midfield for me. But I understand we only scored like 40 goals last season or something like that, which is a terrible return. So we wanted to really improve that attack. And then I like that we were able to get all those outgoings as well. I honestly I thought we were going to end up like not selling one of like Antony or Garnacho or Sancho. So I'll take it.
Yeah, I agree. Basically what you said about the midfield being a big hole that looks like it's going to be a problem for you guys until you buy someone. I had a little higher expectations for United so far. That you guys were turning around a little bit better. Granted, it's early. But yeah, it looks like the midfield hole is going to be a big problem going forward. And it's just a lot of money to put into Sesko. You got to really hope he comes good because there's a lot of money spent on him to not put into midfielder, like you said. So, I mean, there's been a lot of bets in the past that United have put on to attackers that have not paid off. So, yeah, I don't really know. Like you said, I don't have any faith in that it's going to pay out for Sesko, but time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. I think from the first few matches of the season, it's hard to really tell because he's been mostly playing bench minutes. And I think it's because Amram doesn't want to rush him in before they feel he's ready. Because with all the noise at United, you have one stinker performance and like the pressure just builds and builds and builds from there. So I think they're trying to protect him a little bit and allow him to get up to speed without having to rush him in. Like even when Mateus Cunha went down against Burnley, Mateus Cunha was basically playing our striker position. And instead of bringing him on, we brought on Joshua Zirkzee, which I thought was interesting. Which I mean, I love Joshua Zirkzee, so like I didn't hate it, but I think it says a lot that they're really not wanting to put Sesko in that spotlight just quite yet, which I hope is a good thing in the long term. So we'll see.
We shall. Anything else on United, or you want to move on to just other teams to talk about? Transfer window wise.
Yeah, nothing else United. Good to talk some other teams now.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I found interesting was that Emi Martinez was linked with you guys heavily and like looked like he really wanted to go or set on leaving and no one picked him up. So as him being a former Arsenal fan who's kind of gone sour against Arsenal, I found that quite funny that no one really wanted him because he's so boisterous and thinks he's the best goal in the world, best player in the world. And no one even wanted him, so I found that quite funny. Him just like kind of sitting at home waiting for a call that never came. Any thoughts there? Did you think you want him at United? And thoughts?
So I did not want Emi Martinez. I think he is a pretty good keeper, and I like that he's got like all that confidence and personality. Like I think he obviously showed up in the biggest moments with the World Cup and that kind of stuff. But I do think the World Cup has basically overshadowed him being like a relatively like mid keeper. And I didn't want him because we would have had to pay Villa a good bit of money as a transfer fee. He would have wanted high fees because he's an older player. He's a World Cup winner. He starts he's an international goalkeeper. So like he's got all the things that demands like high wages as well. And I just didn't think that was the best allocation of money, especially at the time when I thought Onana was still going to be at Manchester United. I guess I forgot to talk about that completely with Manchester United. We loaned out Andre Onana to some Turkish club after signing the new young guy, which was kind of crazy to me. But I guess United are just trying to really be cutthroat here, and they're sending off players left and right.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that because I don't think Bayindir is great, and I've never seen this Lehman's guy play before.
Exactly. I'm really interested to see who the starting keeper is going to be because I don't think Bindier is good enough. But obviously, you don't want to throw like this Laman's kid is 23 years old. So, do you really want to throw a 23-year-old keeper into a starting position at Manchester United right now with all the pressure at the club? I don't know. So that's an interesting decision. The jury's still out to see how that turns out. But yeah, Emi Martinez, I didn't want. I didn't want that anywhere near. Just froze. I didn't feel like it made sense. I don't think it made sense from a financial position. I don't think it really made like the only reason that would possibly make sense is if we really believe in one of our young goalkeepers. It's this guy Vitek, who is out on loan at Bristol City. He just won their Player of the Month. He's performing really well, and so maybe it was like we bring in an older guy so that there's more of a pathway for him coming in the next season or two. But as far as performance-wise, I didn't think he was going to raise our performances, and I thought he was going to be way too expensive and lock us into an old keeper that we kind of just can't get off the books for the next like 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's always prone to like a mistake or bonehead moment too, which is what
Exactly.
all United fans hated from Onana. So are you really like upping the standard that much more from going from Onana to Martinez?
Yeah, exactly. As soon as I saw the reports, I really just figured it was just us trying to get Royal Antwerp to come down on their asking price for the keeper because they were trying to like they quote us at a price and they're like actually we want more, and then I think we basically were like, all right, we've got Emi Martinez right here, keen to join. Kept briefing like other reporters being like Emi Martinez is really interested in Manchester United, just to like negotiation tactics really.
Gotcha. Yeah, that one was funny. And then the other big one was Gahey. We got the here we go from Fabrizio. It seemed like he was just waiting for that final call, did his medical and everything, I believe. Crystal Palace, or really more so Oliver Glasner, held their resolve. And it sounded like Glasner said, if you sell Gahey, I'm walking out the door, I'm quitting. So because of that, Palace kept Gahey, which I love both for Palace and that Liverpool did not get him. Because like you said, I think Liverpool are pretty short at the center back position and in defense in general. So loved that Gahey is staying at Palace for at least until January. But
Yeah,
rumors, or I think Ornstein came out and said that they're not going to go for Gahey in the winter. But who knows, early.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't unless they really feel like they need him at center back. Like, say, Van Dijk or Konate goes down with like a season-ending injury. Like, maybe they try and go for him, but I still think Palace will probably try and ask for like an extortionate amount of money with them being in Europe and trying to like secure their squad. And I get it from Glasner. Like, it sounds like,
for sure,
like you said, Gay did the medical. He was basically there, ready to sign on the line. And Glasner basically said, if we don't get our replacement in the door, no way. And it all happened because they had the replacement planned in this guy named, what's his name, Igor or something.
Yeah, and Igor Jesus, I think.
Igor Jesus, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, Igor Jesus, I think. And I think they couldn't match the demands that West Ham had basically given the player, or like the package that West Ham gave the player. So he ended up going to West Ham instead. I think it was West Ham. And so
because he was at Brighton, right?
Yeah, he was at Brighton, and I think he ended up going to West Ham. And because he went to West Ham, they no longer had a replacement. And Glasner basically said, not having a Mark Gahey replacement will derail my project, and you're not going to undermine me. I will quit and walk away right now if you guys sell Gahey. And so Gahey had to stay. I respect it. It did kind of take away. I loved it in the last game. Gahey scored an absolute banger for Crystal Palace from outside the box. So that was really cool to see, and I thought that was going to be like his formal send-off, which was very poetic, but I'm more happy that he's back, and Liverpool will hopefully suffer. And then I think, honestly, it works out. Like, it sucks for Mark Gahey because I'm sure he really wanted to go, but it's a World Cup year. Who knows if he would have gotten a starting spot at Liverpool. He'll get more playing time at Palace and a really good team who's doing really good things this season. He gets to leave. He'll leave on a free, and really the only people missing out is maybe Crystal Palace on a little bit of a transfer fee at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. But then there's also like the table position going further in Europe, so the prize money and everything could come out even better for them. Who knows?
Exactly. Nice. Anything else transfer window wise? I'm trying to think. I feel like there was a lot of action on deadline day, and it's just not coming to mind because it feels like so long ago now.
Mm-hmm. I hate the way Chelsea do business, but they did, I think, had a good did a good job just transfer-wise in terms of like buying and selling. The fact that I think they came out net positive or like just under, and especially the job they did selling Nico Jackson, going to get potentially 70 million for him is very impressive. How they
Yeah.
worked that deal, having Bayern pay 14 million just for the loan fee, and then paying 56 if he like hits a number of stars or something. Like really good
Yeah.
business getting that fee for him and the way they worked that deal.
Yeah, that was crazy. How they sent him off on basically they agreed a deal that was like slightly less lucrative than that, and then Liam Delap goes down with a hamstring injury that's going to sideline him for about a month or two, and so they recalled both Mark Gui, I don't really know how to pronounce his name, and then Nico Jackson from both their loans, and then they kept Mark, and then all of a sudden they were like, Brian, you can have Nico Jackson back, but you're gonna have to pay us more, and they got substantially more, which is crazy to me because I think the loan fee was only like, I might misquote this, but I thought it was like only like 8 million euros or something like that, and then jumped up to like 15 million, which is crazy.
Yeah, crazy business they're doing there.
Yeah, good for them. And then I thought the whole Garnacho saga was an interesting one. Just as a Manchester United fan, there was things all summer of people talking about what's a fair price, what's not. I think Chelsea did good to get him for 40 mil. I think he's a player that, I mean, if you just look at the comparable deals, not saying he's maybe as good as Anthony Elanga or something like that, but Anthony Elanga went for like 55 mil. Omari Hutchinson went for like 37.5 million pounds or something like that. Madueke went for what, 55 as well, or 50, something like that.
Yeah, right around like 50. I think 55.
So
Or
other
50.
young wingers went for a certain amount, and Garnacho's got more goals and assists over the last couple seasons than I think almost all those people that were mentioned. But Chelsea got him for 40 mil from United. United got the 10% sell-on clause, which makes me feel a little bit better about the deal. All things considered, I think it was good business by Chelsea, but United did well not to get completely fleeced. I thought they were gonna honestly get him for like 35 mil straight up, which would have just been an abomination. But yeah, that's all I had transfer wise. I'm sure there's some other stuff that I forgot to mention, but overall, pretty crazy transfer window. I thought I was listening to David Ornstein talk about it, and he said this was by far the craziest transfer window that he's covered in his like 20 plus years of doing Premier League transfer windows, which I thought was interesting because like I felt like it was crazy, but like I guess I didn't really think about it in context. But he said that almost every day of the summer felt like it was deadline day as far as like all the drama that he was hearing and how he was getting hit up by all his different contacts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was one of the biggest in terms of numbers. It opened earlier this summer because of the Club World Cup, which kind of added a little bit to it. There's lots of drama, like Arsenal swooping in for Eze, Marinakis telling Gibbs White he can't go after it was basically a done deal. I mean, it was a really entertaining transfer window.
Yeah, right. Nico Jackson getting recalled, obviously the Isak saga and everything
Yep.
that was. Like, it really was crazy. And
Indy,
then I forgot,
Indy Kayla news get blowing up
yeah,
over it
them making a
all.
name for
Yeah.
themselves. Like, at the beginning of the summer, we had the whole Jokeres drama with, like, Sporting being like,
Yeah.
oh, there was no gentleman's agreement, or there isn't, like, all that stuff. Like, I do think, honestly, there were a lot of crazy storylines to come out of it. So, it was a fun one. Glad it's over and we're more solidified going into the season. But, as far as transfer windows goes, that was fun. But now that we are done with that, we know what the teams are looking like. We've got 3 games of experience, or not experience, but data under our belts. Let's talk about game week 4 and jump into our quick fire predictions. You totaled up the scores for us. What's that looking like right now?
Yeah, so you're at 5, I'm at 6. So we did not do pick 'em for game week 1. We did pick 'em for game week 2, and then did not do one for 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, game week 2 position. Yep. So it's 5-6 right now. I'm leading by 1. The only difference was me picking United to draw against Fulham, where you picked United to win.
Nice.
So that was my
Nice.
one difference. All our
Petty
other
play.
picks that were correct, we had the same pick. But yeah, I'm happy that one came through for me.
Nice. Well, First match of the week, game week 4 predictions, and we've got Arsenal versus Forest.
Taking Arsenal here.
All right. And then next game, we've got Bournemouth versus Brighton.
Bournemouth. I think this could be a good game, but Bournemouth at home, I like them.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of Brighton, man. They kind of cooked Manchester City, and I don't know if it was because Man City were just that poor or if Brighton were that good, but they have an interesting team.
This is exactly how I felt about Brighton the past 2 years. You never know what to expect from them. You can get something completely different every single week.
Very true.
And I think Bournemouth is just a really solid team. So with them being at home, I'm just going to go with Bournemouth. I feel like getting more of an own quantity for me.
I got you. All right. And then we've got Newcastle versus Wolves.
Little bottom of the table action here. Number 20 versus 17th. But I'll go
with relegation 6-pointer.
Yeah. Going Newcastle, though, because I think they're just way better. Wolves look bad. Newcastle, I think, are going to get things going with the new signings.
All right. And then we've got Everton looking red hot versus Aston Villa, who are ice cold.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Everton here. I put down a draw when I was making my notes, but Everton being at home after us talking about how poor Villa were, I'm sure they're going to get better at some point, but I'm going with Everton and backing them.
Gotcha. I like that. Then we got Crystal Palace versus Sunderland.
Palace do have some injuries here, which made me think potentially a draw with Sunderland being hot to start the season, just having that momentum going. But I'm going to have to go with Palace just for being better.
Yep.
And at home. They've got a good squad and they've been good so far.
Gotcha. And then we've got Fulham versus Leeds.
I'm going to go with Fulham here at home, even though they are below Leeds, I think, of the table. Fulham haven't looked great, but I'm going to go with Fulham.
Okay. West Ham versus Tottenham.
Going to go with Tottenham here, even though West Ham looked a lot better last game, and they got the win, whereas West Ham got their first win, whereas Tottenham got their first loss last week, but going to stick with Tottenham away.
Gotcha. And then we have Brentford versus Chelsea.
Going with Chelsea here. They've had a good start to the season.
Okay. Burnley versus Liverpool.
Liverpool should win this one, but would love a shock upset.
Nice, me too. That would be awesome. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
And then Manchester City versus Manchester United and Manchester Derby.
This one should be an interesting game because, like you said, both teams are not performing at their best, but I'm going to go with City at home.
Nice. All right, and that rounds out the week.
All right, you ready to do your predictions?
Yes.
Let's run down your week 4 predictions. So Arsenal versus Forest.
I'm going to go with Arsenal here. I think Forest are going to have an interim. They could get that little new manager bounce. Maybe it'll be Big Ange versus Arsenal again, but I still think Arsenal pull it out regardless.
Yep. Which made me think we need to talk about, after this, the Nuno leaving.
Yeah.
All right, so Bournemouth versus Brighton.
For a second, I started to put down the draw, but then I changed my pick to Bournemouth because I think we're going to get a little bit more of Brighton of last season, like you said, in your picks, where you just don't know what to expect of them. They could go beat Manchester City one week and then go lose a game terribly the next. So I'm going to go with Bournemouth.
All right, Newcastle versus Wolves.
I'm going to go with Newcastle.
Everton versus Villa.
Everton versus Villa. I'm going to go with a draw here. I think Villa aren't going to look great, but they're going to figure out a way to be hard to beat versus Everton.
I think that's very reasonable. Like I said, that's originally what I had, but my gut told me to go Everton. So Crystal Palace versus Sunderland.
I think Crystal Palace, just because until proven otherwise, I feel like Glasner's just got these boys rolling, and regardless of who they have, like I feel like he's got a really good system over there, and I'm hoping I'm correct in saying that Palace will win this game.
Mm-hmm. Fulham versus Leeds.
It's another one I thought about going with the draw because I think Fulham has just looked not great, but I went Fulham just because I think they have more quality in the team.
West Ham versus Tottenham.
I'm going to go with Spurs in this match.
I could see this one going anyway, honestly. If West Ham come out to play and stick to that 4-4-2, or like that 4 at the back instead of 5 at the back, so it'll be an interesting game to see how it shakes out and systems being played. Brentford versus Chelsea.
I unfortunately have to pick Chelsea in this one. Not sold on Brentford. I think they could put up a good fight, but I haven't watched enough of them, and them losing to Sunderland at the death doesn't instill confidence in me.
Mm-hmm. Burnley versus Liverpool.
I got to go with Liverpool. I think they've looked shaky, but not that shaky.
All right, and then the Manchester Derby, the game with we got the most stake in it. Who you got for City versus United?
Yes. Manchester City versus United, I have to back the boys. I think they're going to be up for a big game. I think obviously Manchester City aren't in the best form, but I think people are still going to expect us to go in there and not do well. And I think people will be surprised at our performance versus Manchester City, and we're going to walk away with 3 points.
I know you said you wanted to see more about injury stuff post international break and stuff, but where are the goals coming from? And like, what's a too early prediction and where are the goals coming from if you guys get this win?
Wow. That's a great question. I think Brian Mbeumo definitely scores again.
Okay.
He's looked really, really good, and I think he will continue to look really good.
He's been close to get him scoring multiple goals this season.
Yeah. Did you see that first touch that he had? I think it was against Burnley, where like basically Bruno hits the ball over the top, and he just has like a beautiful first touch with his left foot to set it up, and like almost puts a curler in. I can't remember who that was against.
I can't remember, but yeah, he like chops it back, really nicely. For the ball over the top, it was nice.
But yeah, I think goals are going to come from Mbeumo, maybe a cheeky Bruno pen, or a Sesko debut goal. I think that's where it's at.
Nice.
Or another hot take here: if Cunha and or Mount is hurt, I could see Bruno moving up into one of the left 10 position, with Sesko starting up top and Mbeumo on the right, Kabi Manu in midfield, and a Kabi Manu redemption game in his first start in the league, scoring. He's been putting in a lot of work. He's been silencing the haters. He's been commenting on Manchester United fan pages, basically saying, you guys are reaching, this is a stretch, this isn't true. I think he's coming back real motivated, and he's got a point to prove. So Kabi Manu goal would be crazy. I don't know if it will happen, but that would be awesome. And he's always up for a big game against Manchester City.
Yeah, we're going to see him just inside the box, chopping in on his right foot, curling it into the far post like his signature goal.
Yeah, exactly. That would be awesome. Now, there's nothing I really want more than that from the game, to be honest.
Nice. Well, we shall see what comes to be and whether that's accurate or not.
Yeah. But that should wrap up the Game Week 4 predictions. I know we wanted to go back to the whole Nuno thing. What did you think about that?
Nuno and Levy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How did we forget about that?
Yeah. That was big news. So Nuno just dropped like right before we started potting on Monday, September 9th. So fill me. You actually didn't even read it. You told me about it. So what's the update on Nuno?
Yeah. So Nuno has been basically let go by Nottingham Forest. It seems like it was somewhat mutual. I think Nuno probably didn't want to walk away or say that he was walking away. I'm sure there's probably some financial reasons behind that, but it sounds like both parties were pretty done with each other after a tumultuous summer. Sounds like Edu came in and has all these ideas on where he wants to take the club, and it affected the recruitment this summer, and they disagreed over that and had some large disagreements, and long story short, has resulted in the fracturing of that relationship between Nuno and the club, and he is officially gone after today. And it looks like Big Ange Postecoglou is the number one candidate on the market. There's one more name that I saw thrown out, but he's a lesser-known manager. It sounds like they want to bring in Ange, which will be really interesting to see how it changes up the play style for Nottingham Forest, because they like to sit back, defend really well, and hit teams on the counter, be really good off set pieces. And I think that's the exact opposite of Ange Postecoglou ball. So I'm really interested to see how that works out for Nottingham Forest, both in the short and the long term.
Yeah, I can't see Ange being the best hire for them, because like you said, he plays completely the opposite way that Nuno plays. And we've seen that Ange ball does not do too well in the Premier League. So I kind of just hate it for Forest, because they had a really good season last year, had a pretty good start this year minus the last game versus Palace. But then just to get rid of their manager over some back office disagreements. I'm sure we'll get more info, but it just kind of sucks for Forest, because they had a good thing going for them.
I agree. I feel like Forest has just been it was Good Vibes FC last season. Like, you had the boys, you had Alenga, Ola, Aina, and Callum Hudson-Odoi all having fun. And it seemed like Nuno had a really good relationship with a lot of the players. Like, he just seems like a very genuinely good dude. I've seen some of the behind-the-scenes videos of him, and he just seems like a great leader of men and someone that you just want to play hard for. And I would love to hear what the players think about this move. And basically just, I'm waiting to see, like, as reporters get more of the inside details here on where exactly went wrong and what people have to say about it.
Yeah, who knows? Because, I mean, other than that one interview where he was saying, yeah, we've had a bad like press conference before the game, he said the relationship is deteriorating. Like, it came out of the blue other than that. And then the other big news was Daniel Levy I think they said stepping down, but reporting has said that he was let go. So big news for Tottenham. That was surprising to not see that coming, but I think it's probably for the better, because I think you could hire someone with better ambition and just change it up, because he's been there for a long time and he's like been very much in control and has been keeping a very tight ship, and they haven't had like any that much success. So I think it's probably good just to change things up for them.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Like you said, it came out of nowhere. Like I was mind blown when I saw that, just because I just never would have seen that coming. And I have like I would love to. I wish we had like a Spurs insider that really like knew the ins and outs. But I would love to know kind of what the reasoning was behind it and whatnot, because I don't think he's been the worst chairman you could have at all. Like, I think, yeah, you could criticize him for maybe not being ambitious enough or something like that, but he's kept Spurs like relatively relevant and like competitive for a long time, despite like lots of changes and whatnot. Granted, they haven't won trophies, and that's like the whole joke. Like, and they eventually did win their trophy last season. But I think he's made some like pretty good appointments. Like, I don't know. I didn't think like he had the Poch team where he like, got to was it the Champions League final that they got to?
Yeah.
Or not final. Was it the final?
They had the final, yeah.
Yeah, so they had the Poch team that got to the Champions League final, and they had some good appointments along the way. Ange brought some good vibes back to the club. He won the trophy, and I thought he made a smart decision by letting Ange go and bringing in Thomas Frank.
You got him into a new stadium. That's supposed to be really nice.
The new stadium is really nice, and it's making them a ton of money off the field. So, like, I just feel like he made some really good decisions and kind of ran a pretty tight ship. Granted, like, maybe they feel like his ceiling was capped, and like, he basically had run his course, and like it was time for something new, which I can appreciate. But I don't know. I guess shout out to Dan Levy. I don't know where he's going to end up after this. I don't know if he's going to like still be interested in football, if it was like a Tottenham only thing or whatnot. But I don't know. Very interesting move.
And I could see fans fans were really against him throughout the transfer window when they lost MGW, and especially when they lost out to Eze. Like, fans were having a meltdown. But they ended the window pretty well, signing Javi Simons and then getting Colomwani on loan, which is another deadline day deal that we did not talk about. But, I mean, those are two really good signings who have a lot of talent and are very well-known, like, top talent players. So, like, the transfer window shouldn't be the basis alone for him getting sacked. I mean, I'm sure that that's not the only reason from, like, a organization standpoint, firing him out for one transfer window. But just like from a fan perspective, they still had a good window despite some things not going the way earlier.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the general fan sentiment is like negative against him, but
for sure,
maybe a little bit more negative than it should be. But either way, interesting times at Tottenham Hotspur, and it'll be interesting to see how they replace him and if it makes them better.
I think the ambition is the key thing. I think someone could come in with more ambition and goals to take them higher, but we shall see.
We shall see. Did you want to talk FPL real quick? My phone is on like 3%, so it has to be very quick. But
if you want to, take it or leave it. I haven't really spent too much time looking at my team.
Okay, yeah, me neither. The only thing I was really going to say was just that, I don't love my team, and I really want to entertain the wild card. I feel like I've kind of missed a few of the key price rises and drops, which was like kind of my motivation there. But I don't know. I kind of want to see if I can get Haaland into my team.
Yeah, I just don't like my team right now because I'm holding on to Watkins because they've got good fixtures coming up, but it feels bad at the moment. Sarr's injured, which sucks. I got Chris Wood for last week, who laid a dud, and now he's playing Arsenal this week. So I'm benching him, and my Nottingham Forest defenders have sucked, but I feel like I have to keep them for the upcoming fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I want to change up my team, but it feels good for like the near future, just not the like next week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's how I feel. Like, especially with my Villa assets, I've got Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins, like you said, and I'm like, when I brought them into my team, it was because they've got the Burnley and Sunderland games coming up, and within the next couple weeks. So it's like I can't sell them, or at least on principle, I shouldn't sell them, knowing that like I wasn't bringing them in for these first few fixtures anyway. It was for those fixtures, and I'm hoping that like maybe with a little bit more cohesion in the team, by the time those fixtures roll around, that they'll look like a lot better picks, and I'll look clever for having held on to them.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then I also just don't know who a good Sarr replacement is. I guess I've got a little bit extra money in the bank, so I could go back and go get Semenyo, maybe. But I did have plans for that extra money. I can't remember what they were. I'll have to look back on my team and figure out like why I was saving that money that I had in the bank.
Yeah, I don't have the money, so my first thought, I mean, Paqueta, everyone's talking about him, so maybe I'll look into him. But also Josh King, just downgrading to Josh King, freeing up $2 million and using that money later.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well, going cheap mid as a replacement for Sarr and just like keeping it pretty flexible, because I think coming up you're going to want those City assets. So like, can I make it a little bit easier for myself to upgrade to a Haaland if I need to do that? Or and also like I want to have a little bit of money left over for when Cole Palmer and Saka could become available again. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I think we might have lost Tochi there for the last few seconds here. But thanks for listening. Remember to like and subscribe, tell your friends. And we're looking forward to Gameweek 4 of the Premier League. And we will catch you guys next week after this league.
Nice. Thank you.